In this video, we're talking about the surprise drop of SteamOS 3.7 and how it's a new era for the Steam Deck. Then we're talking about how we're one step closer to winning the launcher war on Steam. And finally, I have a game recommendation that you should actually watch. Like, this game is so perfect for the Steam Deck that it's kind of crazy. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about the Steam Deck. Thanks so much for all the love on this channel lately. Subs are up, views are up, everything is up, and it's all thanks to you watching my videos. I appreciate it a lot. All right, let's jump into this first news story here because on Pi Day 3.14, they dropped a new Steam Deck update into the preview channel that is called SteamOS 3.7. The biggest change that came along with this update is that they updated the version of Linux, so the desktop is going to look a little bit different, but it's also going to run quicker and just overall be a much more pleasant experience than it was before. One of the cool things they pointed out is that the actual switching from game mode to desktop mode is going to be a lot quicker and have a lot less hitching. So when you actually get into the desktop, you're not going to have that full minute wait before things actually become usable, and vice versa. When you switch back into game mode, it's going to take a lot less time. I've been setting up a lot of the old Need for Speed games. There's a great abandonware thread on Reddit that I can't show you, but you can get the PC version of all the black box games and then you can get art for them, and they run so perfectly that they're definitely worth installing. So switching back and forth between game mode and desktop mode to make sure I did everything right, it was kind of a chore, so I'm glad that they're improving that as time goes on. It's a great software update to have 3 years into the deck's life cycle, just improving the speed and quality of the desktop mode, and also it makes it more of a PC. I think that's cool because I always talk about this, but the Steam Deck is that perfect middle ground between a PC and a console. It's a great baby's first PC where you can learn how everything works, and then you'll be a pro by the time you switch to Windows and just abandon consoles altogether. The slider has definitely been moving towards the console side of the fence for the better part of the last year, so it's nice to see them kind of bounce back and transition to supporting the desktop mode as well. But I mentioned that this is a new era for the Steam Deck, and what I meant by that is one of the bullet points in the patch notes is that they're officially supporting other handhelds with SteamOS. So the ROG Ally, we know that's going to get SteamOS support because they've been adding in the little button glyphs and everything like that for months now. And then you've got the Legion Go S, which is going to ship with SteamOS very soon. So we're going to have some Steam Deck competitors on the market. You can't really call them competitors because if they're running SteamOS, it just helps Valve, because theoretically, when you get the SteamOS version of this device, you're just going to download a bunch of Steam games to it. You're probably not going to go through the hassle of downloading the Epic Game Store, or I don't know, what other stores are there? The Ubisoft launcher? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but you're not going to be downloading games off Steam. So it's not really competing with the Steam Deck because the whole goal is to get you to buy games on Steam. So that's good. And the biggest thing I've been nervous about, of course, is with more handhelds to support, and also the fact that the hardware team within Valve isn't all that big. I was worried about the Steam Deck kind of being second fiddle to all these other devices, not because Valve would care more about these other devices, but the Steam Deck is already pretty much done. It's as good as it's going to get, and then they'll come up with 50 new features that I never even thought of that make it even better. But it's as good as it's going to get. So getting this thing onto other platforms, you could kind of see them maybe taking that small team and using them to support all these other platforms and letting the Steam Deck fall behind. But the cool saving grace there is that all these SteamOS updates are going to ship at the same time. So it's not like the Steam Deck's going to get an update, the Legion Go S is going to get an update, the Ally is going to get an update. No, if SteamOS updates everything that specifically targets those different versions of the device running the Steam Deck, it's all going to be supported all at the same time. Now that could, I guess, kind of extend the time between updates, but Valve works so damn quick with this stuff that I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. And the best part is it brings us one step closer to my favorite thing to talk about, which is full desktop release of SteamOS. I know you can install Bazite. I'm not doing that. I have an NVIDIA card. I looked into it and I just saw so many different words that I don't understand. And I've talked about this on the channel before, but I'm kind of getting sick of the whole tinkering side of playing games. Tinkering with Bazite and getting that installed, it's just not how I want to spend my time right now. The big boon of SteamOS coming out is you'll download the installer, you'll make a partition or install a separate SSD in your computer, you'll install it, and then you'll just be good to go from there. It's again, bridging the gap between PC and console, and that's exactly the future that I have been waiting for ever since the Steam Deck was announced, before it even came out, because that just sounded so damn cool. I was a big supporter of SteamOS 2.0. I loved big picture mode there. It just just didn't really come together. But SteamOS 3 is just so damn good that I feel like things are going to be at the point I want them to be very soon. So like, yeah, they're supporting the Legion OS, they're supporting the Ally. I don't really care. It all helps us in the end as Steam Deck gamers or as PC gamers as a whole. Like, this is just a crazy new future that we're kind of in the middle of, and we're just going to have to take the hits as they come, and I'll do my best to analyze them for you here on Deck Ready. But that brings me to the second news story here, which is that we are winning the launcher war one step at a time. So Ubisoft, they're releasing Assassin's Creed Shadows. When I'm recording this video, the reviews, honestly, a lot better than I was expecting. And even though just a couple of weeks ago, they said the game wasn't going to be supported on Steam Deck, they announced it was going to be verified at launch. In the next video, we're going to talk about why that verification status needs a real upgrade from Valve. That's something they definitely need to work on. But what I want to focus on in this video is how we are winning the launcher war. So we already got a big step forward with Dragon Age the Veilguard. Say what you will about that game's quality. I won't say anything because I was never buying that game. Like, let's be real, guys. That is not the game that I would want to play. It's just not for me. I'm not really into fantasy all that much. I'm not really into talking in games. I just want to kill shit, and that didn't really look like a game for me from that perspective. But a cool thing about it is that it didn't require the EA launcher. So you didn't have to deal with that breaking every time they updated it. You didn't need to deal with being online every time you launched the game. It was a net win overall for the Steam Deck going forward. And now with Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ubisoft is continuing on with the trend they started with the Rogue Prince of Persia, and they're not making you download the Ubisoft launcher to play AC Shadows. Now the catch is there is a light version of the launcher baked into the game, so you just have to link your Ubisoft and Steam accounts to continue playing. But I feel like once you do that, there shouldn't be any problems going forward. And honestly, that just looks like it's going to be the future. We know that every time Microsoft releases a game on the Steam Deck or on Steam as a whole, they make you log into the Microsoft services regardless of whether or not there's cross save. At the most, you get achievements, but like, who cares? I hate that shit so much. And then Sony, they've been on a tear doing the same thing. Helldivers tried to do it. They tried to make people log into the PlayStation Network, and then they had to remove the game from sale in 130 countries. Ghost of Tsushima, you can play the single player on Steam Deck, but you can't play the multiplayer. God of War Ragnarok, same situation as that. If it had multiplayer, you wouldn't be able to. You'd have to play the single player. So when it comes to the launcher situation, this is clearly a good middle ground. It's not amazing. I would prefer there be no sign-ins or launchers or anything like that. But, you know, you got to take the wins when you get them, and not having to log in to play this game is a big win. The big potential problem here, of course, is that the two examples we have, Veilguard, Assassin's Creed Shadows, not amazing games. They're not like 9 or 10 out of 10 type experiences where they could probably get away with putting the launcher in because people want to play the games regardless. They're both kind of the same situation where they need to do well, so you got to do everything you can to make the time it takes to get into the game as quick as possible. So we'll just have to wait and see if they continue with this good strategy of not requiring the EA launcher or the Ubisoft launcher if they release a quality product. I don't want to be mean, right? Like, I'm sure Assassin's Creed Shadows is fine, but like, it's not on the level of something like Jedi Survivor or The Last of Us or any good game you can think of. You know what I'm saying? It's not Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So we'll have to see if they can release a game of that level to begin with. But if they do eventually start releasing good games again, we'll have to see if they require the Ubisoft or EA launcher in the future. But as of right now, we're in a decent spot. It could be better, could be a lot worse like it was before. But yeah, I've been excited for this third segment the whole video, so I'm jumping right in. I gotta tell you about this new game, SULFUR. I don't know how new it is. I think it came out in 2024. When it was announced in early access, they said they wanted it to be the shortest early access period of all time, and it looks like they're holding true to that because the full release is planned for early 2025. But this is the rare early access game that not only feels like a complete game, but is also extremely optimized, and I love this game. I would give it a 10 out of 10 in its early access state. So it's essentially like if you took the old school style shooting of like Doom or Wolfenstein, combined it with roguelite elements of Hades, and then added in extraction shooter stuff like Hunt Showdown or Tarkov. It has low poly graphics, but don't let them fool you because they are really well made, and the shooting in this game is like the best shooting I've experienced in a game in a long time. Like, I don't want to be presumptive, but whoever made this game, they have shot guns before and they understand what gun fans want out of games that are using realistic guns. So like, you look at this low poly game, you see all these weird characters and you're like, oh, the shooting's probably going to be these mystical weapons. weapons. But like there's a 1911, there's a snub-nose revolver, there's a sniper rifle, there's a lever action rifle, there's a shotgun. Like all the guns are based in reality and they shoot and look and sound exactly like they do in real life, and they just feel incredible to shoot. So the way this game is set up is you're the father of a parish who is very experienced with guns, and then a witch rolls through and burns your church down. So you drive down to her cave that you see her fly into, and that takes you to Sulfur, which is basically like the afterlife. I've only made it through the first level of this hell, and I think there's like 5 of them. So the enemies I've seen so far are like goblins, but I've also seen dogs, which are really hard to fight. And I've also seen cool preacher style outfit guys that have skull masks and guns, and they are crack shots. So like they're hard to kill. I'm sure there will be more enemies as I get deeper, but the way the game actually works is it's like Tarkov. So you go in and you go as far as you can. You loot stuff from dead enemies, you loot stuff from chests. So it emphasizes exploration, which is cool. But if you die, everything stays in the cave and you go back to town, and then you go to the donation box at the church, and then you get money back. So you can buy stuff from the vendor, and then you can go in with whatever you want. No matter what, you always start out with a pistol and a katana. The pistol feels great. The katana is awesome. My preferred loadout in Hunt Showdown is a marathon and a katana. So it's like playing that game, which is cool. And then when you get to the end of a level, like you fight a boss or go through a super hard level, you have an interesting decision because you're wearing an amulet. Now, once you kill the last part of a level, your amulet charges up and you can go back to town and stash all your stuff and start a new run with just a smaller loadout and do it all again. Or you can keep going, but if you die, you lose all your stuff. So that's the sort of Tarkov element of it, and it all just gels together super well. But why is this a perfect game for the Steam Deck, you might ask? It runs at a hard-locked 60 FPS at its main graphic settings, and it controls incredibly well. I think it's like $10 too. So if you're looking for a game that you're gonna sink hours into while also not drawing a ton of battery life, like I was at 30% when I started this yesterday, I got like 4 hours out of it before I got to 10%. So it runs really well. It doesn't drain a lot of battery. This is the game to buy. If you're into Tarkov, if you're into roguelites, if you're into Doom, this is gonna be the game for you. And it feels like getting in on the ground floor of the next big thing. So if you buy this game and you end up loving it, and then it comes out of early access and it blows up, you better tell people you heard about it here, because this is a game that I would give an extremely rare 10 out of 10 score to, and it's not even done yet. So yeah, for the 5 of you who stuck around and watched that segment, let me know if you pick up this game, what you think about it down in the comments below. That brings me to the end of this video. As always, guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.